Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Just Jason Leon and Friends. I'd like to introduce to you my next guest. He's a two-time Olympian, an entrepreneur, and a financial coach. Please give a warm welcome to none other than Jayson Jones. So, Jason, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
That's good. That's good. So, first things first. I feel the need to ask you, how are you doing with all of this COVID-19 and everything in general that's going on in America right now?
Well, that's kind of like a multi-layered question.
Yes, it is.
COVID is been kind of stressful for us. My fiance is a pharmacist. She works for Walgreens, so she's an essential worker. So she's working longer hours. You know, she's being put into very scary situations because she's dealing with the public regularly. As far as the kids, her kids and my kids, I mean, they're kind of being shielded and guarded because they're at whether our home or their other parents' home. So that's kind of like what we were dealing with, making sure you hand sanitize and wear face masks and don't touch anything. The kids weren't going anywhere except for house to house. So that's been kind of like that challenge. Um, but the civil unrest, I mean, that's one of those things where I have two young sons. They turned they just turned 13 and 10, and so two pivotal ages. One left single digits, went into double digits, and one left preteen into teenager. And so both Black boys, and let's teach them about family togetherness. I mean, they come from now a blended family. We talk about the power of connection. We talk about not against each other's household.
Yes.
Your other parents' household against ours is not a competition. We're trying to talk about focusing on working together as a team with the ex-spouses. And so, I mean, the idea of our collective blended family is kind of what we're focused on.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's almost like the civil unrest just kind of makes us more be intentional on our conversations. And so there's no longer those are kids and this is an adult conversation. It's like, no, you have to know what you're going to step into when you step out these doors.
So, who is Jayson Jones? Let's talk about that for a quick second.
Listen, I knew that question was going to come, and I did not have a formulated answer for that.
Oh, that's so great. Right from the hip.
Yeah. So it's kind of a story, right? So I was born and raised in Germany. My father was in the army. I grew up a military child. I traveled different places. I lived in Germany for the first 6 years of my life. And then the next 5 years, I lived in Chicago. And then from Chicago, we moved back to Germany I was 11. So I moved back to Germany for 2 years, then moved to Korea for a year, and then moved back to Germany, where I finished my high school career in Germany, graduated high school in Germany, went to Florida State, right? So going into which would be the last semester of my senior year in college, my grandfather passed. 23 days later, my oldest sister passed, right? And so, but this was supposed to be the year I graduate from college. This was supposed to be the year that I go to the Olympics, right? This is supposed to be the year that life changes for me, and it didn't. But I did, qualify and get to the Olympics. The Olympics was in, I think, September in 2000. It was in Australia, and didn't do so well because I didn't have a really good track season that year. So I decided, let me go back to school and get my master's degree. And so I applied in the spring semester of 2001, started my master's program and just kept focusing on track and field. Didn't really get into life. I was just focusing on track and field. 2001, 2002, I graduated 2003. I ended up, believe it or not, in 2003, 2002 to 2003, because I performed in Pro Day, the NFL Pro Day at Florida State in 2003. So 2002 is when I wanted to try to get into the football season, which would have been the fall. So I was doing this over the summer, right? I was trying to get in to play football in the fall of 2002 to be eligible for the draft in 2003. So all of this was trying to happen in 2002, the summer.
Oh, wow.
So you got to think, I wrote these letters, two different letters, NCAA and ACC, two different letters, wrote these letters, but I also now was starting to practice with the football team. And in order to practice with the football team, you need permission from the football coach. And so the football coach, to get to the football coach, you have to kind of sit and wait for the football coach to invite you into his office to ask you what you need. So for no lie, 8 weeks, right? 8 weeks, every day at 3 o'clock, I would go to the coach's office and sit until 5 o'clock. They would not let me get to the back, right?
Oh.
So every day at 3 o'clock, I'd come and I'd sit. How you doing, Jason? So they knew me by first name basis. One of the seventh week, almost 2 months in, they said, he'll see you now. And I walked in the back, and the guy's office literally was like one office from the reception. He said, I saw you come here every day, and I saw you come and sit here patiently every day. And I've never seen such discipline. You were coming, minutes before 3, and you stayed all the way until they told you had to leave. I never saw so much discipline and perseverance. How can I help you, son? Right? This was not the legendary Bobby Bowden. This was his son at the time, Jeff Bowden, who was the receivers coach, right? And he was the associate, like an associate head coach, because that was his dad. So I told him my situation, and he said, anything I could do to help you, because I understand you're trying to play professional football, I can help you. But I'm going to tell you one thing, son. It's been very rare that somebody's come on, learn the system, and play the same season. I said, well, I don't have enough time to I only got 1 year if they give me back to me. So I have to learn and play, period. So who is Jayson Jones? I overcome kind of like the craziest of odds, because that 2003 took so much out of me, but I still was able to go to, I think, the Central American and Caribbean Games in August, competed. We ended up getting, I think, a silver medal or a medal, I think, in the relay. And then I focused on trying to run track and make it to the 2004 Olympics. Packed up from Tallahassee, moved to California. Didn't make it to the Olympics, but I went to Europe, raced overseas, and decided to stay in LA because I didn't want to go back to Tallahassee. In that story, I got engaged, and she moved to South Florida, and she kind of gave me this ultimatum that I'm not moving to California. So if you want this thing to work, you got to move to South Florida. Had no South Florida ties except for her. And
Gotcha.
2005, right before the hurricane, that kind of is the famous hurricane, I came down here, and I've been down here ever since the fall of 2005. So I really came down here with 2 suitcases and like $1,500. And so I'm sitting in my office, 15 years later almost, right? And I have a powerful story. I came here and I virtually made this thing kind of out of scratch. I didn't come, my parents are okay, retired military, but they're not by no means like these overly affluent parents that could say, here's this startup money, or here's this money for your down payment on your house or whatever. I don't come from that. So everything that I've kind of created, it's been through trial and tribulation, but because I'm an athlete, but because I'm a track athlete, it's one of those things that I know how to overcome, and I don't quit. So that's Jayson Jones. I just don't know how to quit.
I guess the next question that leading all up to that is, what is it that you do now for people? What is that you do?
Just personal taxes. It evolved into business taxes. It evolved into business payroll. It has evolved into bookkeeping. I'm a licensed insurance agent, and I also help financially coach people on money management, debt consolidation, and credit repair. So it kind of evolved into, it kind of merged and morphed, because I didn't want to just be the tax guy, because the tax guy could be the fraud guy. So I needed some sort of level of
True indeed.
Right? So that I have a level of integrity. I'm not hard to find. You can Google me. I'm not one of those guys that's going to make a lot of money and then disappear. So I've just recently rebranded myself from Olympic Star International to the Jones Financial. The Jones Financial is what I'm going to stand on. I'm going to grow on that. I'm going to build on that. And it's more relatable to me. So I'm much more than just the 2-time Olympian, but the 2-time Olympian kind of gets me into doors. I had one affluent client travels the world for his company, told me straight up, it's not because you're an Olympian that I'm coming to you. I don't really see the correlation between the Olympics and accounting. It's just my friend recommended you. My last accountant passed away, and so I didn't really want to go looking. He highly recommended you, so you're the guy. But it has nothing to do with you being an Olympian. So that kind of like, I took it with a grain of salt, but I took some of the truth out of that. Like, if I don't tell a story that can bring us together, Olympics in who I am, or Olympics in accounting, or Olympics in financial, then I can't assume that the public will understand the correlation. But
absolutely,
if my last name is the name of my company, I mean, that's simple, right? And so now when you talk about the Jones Financial, now I can talk about myself and talk about what I've gone through and who I'm helping, so that you don't have to like, well, what does the name have to do with what you're doing? Well, this is it now. You follow me? So that was kind of like my thought process. And so we're going through that process right now. Yeah, the whole idea is to help more people. And what I do more of when somebody sits in front of me is I do really counsel them on, when they see me as an Olympian, they understand the struggle and the perseverance and the discipline it takes to just commit and focus on that, right? And I have a big break, 2008, right? And what people don't see is the many times that I wanted to say, man, forget this. This is done. What am I doing? I'm past 25. I'm past 30. What am I doing? This is crazy. But I had this burning desire. Like, I knew I still had a race in me. I had a race in me, right? I knew I had a race in me. But that same desire, I know that there's more people I can touch. There's more people that I can inspire and give hope. And not just wolf ticket hope. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me give you some action steps. Let me give you some true guidance and some true tools that you can use to kind of take what I'm telling you, apply it into your own life. Like, okay, I'm going to graduate. I know what to do. Let me go into the military. No, man, listen, the military shouldn't be your fallback plan. Just like being a teacher shouldn't be your fallback plan. If you want to go into the military, you should desire to want to go into the military. You should desire to want to be a teacher, right? Don't use those as fallback plans, because now you're protecting our country. You're teaching our kids with this jaded mentality that you don't want to be here, right? And so,
good point.
I'm more into like teaching, like, listen, if you're going to be doing something for 20 or 30 years of your life, you might as well do something that you want to love to do. It may take you some time, but if you go down that path and you know that that's a path, listen, we all will, by the grace of God, get older, right? And so my parents are 68 and 75 right now. My dad at 75 worked 50 plus years of his life, right? Maybe a little more, 50 plus years. If you ask him if he was fully satisfied with the 50 plus years of his working life, he can't say I did it all that I desire to do. He won't be able to say that. So if I take that example, my dad is 75. He's not a frail 75. He's an active 75. If I take that, I'm 43. Let's round it up to 45. So if I take the next 30 years of my life to pursue something, when I get to 75, if somebody asks me, I want to at least say the last 30 years is what I wanted to do. Well, did you get to where you wanted to be? I didn't get there, or I did, but at least I gave it what I desired. I don't want to be 75 saying, man, I have regrets. I have, I wish I could have, would have, should have. Man, listen, you only get one of these. So keep on pushing. You follow me?
That's what I'm talking about. It sounds like another interview I had a few days ago, and the advice was, don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep on going. If it's something that you really want, something that you really desire to do, keep on going. So having said that, what is one piece of advice that you would give to your listeners?
The one piece of advice I would give to anybody listening would be to really kind of figure out like self-reflection, and trust in what you desire to do, right? Trust and believe that as long as you can think it, it can happen. So there's nothing that we have out here, nothing that we have experienced in life that hasn't came out of somebody's thoughts. So if you can think it, take it out of your head, put it on paper. Now, when you put it on paper, you can see it. Now, when you put it into the atmosphere, speak it, right? Speak it 10 times at least every day. And what that happens is, outside of the power of God, right? the laws of attraction will cause you to manifest that to your life as long as you fully focus on that. So like, again, like I said, the 50 years or 40 years or 30 years that you're going to be pursuing work, if it's something that you want to do, musician, an artist, a writer, want to be the best fisherman. Listen, if it can be monetized, figure out a way that it can be monetized. Maybe what's in you is teaching, right? Maybe what's in you is mentorship. Maybe what's in you is something that needs to be created to better the world. But you have to figure it out within yourself first, and don't be afraid to write it down. So that would be my advice. I'm a listener, and I listen really well, and then I act fast. And I think that's what athletes, entertainers, people that are different and unique, they're quick thinkers because they have to think on the fly all the time. You put me on the spot, and I kind of, again, I didn't have a defined kind of like elevator 20-second, 2-minute pitch.
Right.
This is all real and raw, but it's because we know how to process things quick, because that's the mind that we have. And so regular people don't have that mind. Regular people are sideline thinkers. They overanalyze. They think and think and think and think and think. And guess what? They sit on the sidelines. They're fans, right? They're fans to watch the people who have to make a decision fast, and win, lose, or draw, they have to accept their choice.
Right.
But at least
Absolutely.
the choice that they're fully accepting is the courage to take a step, right? I have a book that I'm reading. I have a book that I'm writing. The title of the book is Meet Me at the Line. Whether you're at the finish line or the start line, we each have to cross a line to get to the next level of life. And so I have some tips and some ideas, some stories, just kind of around the whole, you have to start to get somewhere, right? So you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a quotable right there. So how can we keep up with all things Jayson on social media?
Again, I'm working on the rebranding, but right now I'm on IG at I am Jayson Jones. I am Jayson Jones. The Jones Financial. I'm working on that as well. And hey, I'm not that hard to find. I have a cell phone that you can text, 954-906-4144, 954-906-4144. I am very accessible to within reason. I really want to share a lot. I think the more people I can empower and encourage, the more people I can help. I call myself fiduciary, which as a licensed insurance agent, I have to put your interests and desires before my own. And so that's always been me. It's always been a you before me. And my analogy of life is on a 4x1 relay. Depending on what race you're in or what team you have, what nucleus of 4 people you have, the way that the 4x1 is structured, first leg is typically the fastest starter. Second leg is typically the strongest because you're running a little further. You're running a portion of the curve to a portion of the curve, backstretch. Third leg is typically your best corner runner. And your anchor traditionally is not necessarily your fastest, but it's your strongest minded person. And so I've always said that I am a team player through and through. You put me on the relay wherever you need me at, I can be there because I am a quick starter. So I will get us out in the race. I am also one of the strongest athletes. So you give me the stick, responsibility is receiving the stick, handing off the stick. That's responsibility. I have that as well. Curve runner, listen, I can run the curve. Basically, I can keep my focus as far, I can just keep the focus, like laser focus. That's what you need as a curve runner. And the guy who brings it home, that's usually the closer. I can close all day long. I'm unapologetic, unafraid. And I don't mind if you tell me no, because you're not telling me no. You're just telling the opportunity I'm presenting to you no, which is fine. It may be no, but it may be not right now, but it also may be not for me, but I know somebody else. So again, track and field analogies all through my life. And I just been able to kind of pick and choose which ones kind of work for me and apply for me. But I'm able to now relate that to people because there's people that are closers, but they don't know how to start. And there's people that are starters, they don't know how to close. And then there's people who would love the opportunity if they got the opportunity and they can bring the opportunity to somebody else. And then there's other people that are like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Put them in a position and they'll focus, but they need to be put in a position. So I say, partner up with me and let's figure out what part of the team you are, and then I'm the other part.
I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us on this latest episode of Just Jayson Leon and Friends. We had the two-time Olympian Jayson Jones joining us, and it's not every day that you get to meet an Olympian. And with that, he offers some sage advice as far as you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. And also, perseverance, discipline, and focus is what are some of the key ingredients to being a success. Now, what success looks like to you, only you can determine that. But we do know that you definitely need those ingredients to get there. So I want to thank you again for rocking with us during this time. You can find Jayson Jones on I Am Jayson Jones on IG or The Jones Financial. Again, thank you for joining us. Have a blessed day.